All right, we are back again, and this time we're switching it up a bit, and we've got our first developer guest. His name is Florin Pascu. Hi, Florin.
Hey everyone.
All right, and also joining us is our usual co-host Vlad.
Hi, hi, Andre. Hi, Florin.
All right. So, how we usually do this, Florin, is first of all, thank you, and second of all, do you want to say a few words about yourself, where you're based, what you're basically what you do, and how you ended up doing what you do?
Okay, hi, and thanks for having me here. Yeah, so I'm a senior software developer. I've started working in IT after I finished college here in Romania, and also I'm a software developer in Romania. Yeah, don't ask me for how long I started working because honestly, I don't know. I think it's around 7 or 8 years now, or around nine. Uh, I always get this interview question and I always mess it up.
Yeah, we don't. We're not gonna score you.
Hopefully, yeah. So I started working as a from an internship at the local company here in Romania. After finishing the internship, they hired me over here and started working on a big project. I would say for 3 or 4 years. The main technologies, not sure if relevant, but they are mainly Microsoft technology, so .NET, and on the front end side, Angular JS at that time. After that, I continued working on other smaller, medium, or big projects, whatever you call them, with the same tech stack. So mainly Microsoft technologies, in particular .NET.
Is the tech stack something that's uh, standard for Romania, you think?
I think it's not specifically Romania. I think it's pretty much a standard around the globe because we have Microsoft, one of the biggest companies, with .NET, which I'm not sure about the latest percentages, but I think it was in top 10 most used languages in the world by a lot of users. The same goes for Angular, and you could say the same thing about Java, React, and maybe Vue.js.
Okay. Right. So going back to the beginning, you said you got into an internship. Prior to the internship, were you into IT? Did you normally, I don't know, do something on the side to learn?
Well, I started my IT career, let's say, when I was younger, because I was at a computer science profile in the high school, and over there, started learning IT and the works of it, mainly with C++. And then I started to play games, and every teenager's dream is to build his own game. And after that, I started playing around a bit, then went to college, to university on a computer science profile. And in the second year, I got my internship and then just started working.
All right. So for let's say for anyone who's not yet started and for anyone who's perhaps doing something else right now, what would you recommend as first steps if they want to be a programmer?
Take a course, whatever platform you want to take it on. You have courses on YouTube. Try to pick an area. Let's say you're more of a logical person. You like these sort of challenges. Maybe look into .NET, Java, or something a bit more. more server side, let's call it, where you don't actually see the work, but you see the results, where you get the input of data and you just press out the results. And try to look over Microsoft technologies, Java, like I mentioned, and .NET are the biggest ones in my opinion. And yeah, if you like to have things clean, to have them tidy, you like the presentation a lot, I would suggest you take a look at the front end part of things and maybe look take the free courses that are on React's main page or Angular's main page or Flutter if you're into more mobile development.
And how does one know if they have an affinity towards backend, which is basically a lot of data, or front end, or mobile? Or is there a way that you can incorporate everything?
I think you need to take a look at yourself, and you kind of just know. I was always passionate about math problems, and I was pretty good at math and logical problems since I was younger. And yeah, I think my path was chosen for me because
Mhm.
I wasn't attracted to how things look that much, but how they work in the background or behind the scenes.
And normally, for someone who's a programmer or to be a senior programmer, actually, can you afford to specialize just in front end? So, for example, can you uh, do away just by learning Angular and that is it? Or do you need to be full stack? By full stack, I mean both front end and back end for anyone listening.
Yeah, well, it's a bit more if you're saying the term full stack, but yeah, normally it's used like this. Yeah, you can specialize in only one thing, or you can learn a bit of everything and try to have your main area of focus, or maybe you're just that good and you can do everything from scratch. It's it's possible both ways. My first recommendation would be try to learn only one thing and try to do it very very good. And after that, the others will just come because they're just derivations.
All right. And to your knowledge, because I've actually heard someone doing a course on Python, I think it was. I don't think it matters
Yeah.
right now that much. But to your knowledge, is there a particular tech stack that is being paid more than others?
Yeah. If you're taking, sorry for the wording, but that languages, I think in London it was at some point that one of their main infrastructure systems, I think it was for the ambulance, it was programmed in COBOL, for example. But most of the COBOL developers quit it or they're no more because it's not a maintained language. So trying to find one would cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you really want to go that path, yeah,
So basically, if you're extinct, you're worth more.
exactly.
But then job security is also at risk to some extent, right?
Well, not sure if they changed the infrastructure or not.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
but coming to your question again, besides this, I don't think there's a preferred language. I would say you go to one of the big ones, which you'll know that it won't crash in the next, I don't know, 10 or 20 years. That's why I kept mentioning Microsoft or Google or Facebook with React or stuff like that, because they won't die in the upcoming, let's say, 5 years, even more.
right. Yeah. And then let's say you pick one, and let's say you pick Java, for example, and you're investing a few months worth of courses and whatever you wish. And then at some point you decide, or you perhaps you find more opportunities in the .NET area. Are these skills or is the logic transferable from one to
Yes,
another?
yeah, definitely transferable. I mean, uh, if they are similar in concepts. So if you're talking theory, they're both the same. The only thing that changes mainly is the sugar syntax. So, for example, we're speaking Romanian and English, let's say. I know Romanian, I know how to make a proposition in Romanian. I can do the same with English if I know the words. And that's the only difference between them.
Okay, all right. It's good to know, although complex for anyone who doesn't know Romanian and only knows English. All right, so let's try to dig deeper then into, let's say, you've already started doing your first courses. Uh, I already kind of know the answer here, but I also want to hear it said out loud. So let's use myself for example. Now I'm gonna make a switch from whatever, something unrelated to IT, and I've just done 5 courses on Udemy or Pluralsight. What do I do now? Do I just go for jobs? Do I just put my CV out there and go to interviews, or do you recommend anything that can help me get better or to that point where I can go to an interview?
Yeah. Well, when you're doing the course, you're also going to do some small applications, some small programs. It's basically the course's idea. After that, you can try to upgrade it, to try to do something on your own. I don't know, something small, or just try an idea. Uh, Keep it somewhere and prepare it for your CV, and then just put it out in the world because no one will come for you if they don't know you're available.
And how do you put it out in the world?
Well, well, depends on where you stand and how easy it is to find a job. For example, you could go on, let's say, LinkedIn after you finished everything and you created your CV. You can try to find jobs over there. Maybe on LinkedIn there isn't that much traffic in your area. Maybe
Hmm.
you just find more traffic on. It will sound funny, but on Facebook. Yeah, because a lot of companies, even local companies, will try to attract people, but since you don't know about, let's say, LinkedIn, because you're not in the bubble yet, you will probably find from third parties like Facebook or I don't know, some commercials. Just try to find it, or there are groups you can join and you can find out, hey, this guy is working over there, or and you can, let's say, find an open gate.
Okay. And what about these courses that you do? Because I know there's a lot of courses which actually cost quite a lot of money, but apparently at the end of the course, you've learned enough to be able to start working in IT. What's your thoughts on it?
I think that a course is good enough as you are making it good enough. So if we're going back to school, if I don't want to learn, let's say, math, I'm not going to learn it. So the course is giving you probably 90% of the information you need to find a job or to get into a job in IT. You just
But
need to put in the extra effort or work.
but is that information the same as if you were to do the Udemy courses or the Pluralsight courses, or do you find them more valuable to do one of those informal IT courses?
I would say that maybe for the beginning it would be better for you to have someone help you. Depends on you very much, because if you're a person that doesn't that just likes to get into problems and maybe prefers a course, then having to discuss with someone or waiting for someone to answer a call, or um, I don't know, schedule a meeting when the course is, and waiting 1 week after another, and you just want to dive in, I would say then, yeah, if you're that kind of guy or person, just go into that. Take the Udemy Pure site. You already have the information online, and actually, it's kind of free on the main pages of the framework or language you want to learn.
Yeah.
It's already available, so you could start by that without paying any money in the end. But I see it's a lot easier to have someone show you the first steps so you can learn how to walk.
All right. So basically, you're not saying no.
No, I'm not saying no. For me, the internship was really good in this scenario, because that's how I started.
Right. And how would you, first of all, compare kind of these courses with like a proper university or college degree? Do you think investing the 3 years or however many years it takes to actually do a IT college degree, is it worth it, or is it just not necessary?
Well, in here, I think it depends on the university. I mean, you can go in at Oxford, Harvard, Cambridge, or whatever. I don't know the big universities, or you can go to a local smaller university, and I think you may expect that the quality of the teachers may be lower, but the quality of your drive should be the same. I think comparing the university to a course, I think you get a lot more information, useful information in a course,
All right.
a lot faster than in a university.
All right.
Because a course, I think it's scheduled for, I don't know, let's say 6 months at most. For university, you have 3 years. And if you don't want to spend 3 years, but you think you can do it a little bit faster, maybe a course is better suited. But then again, you won't find probably all the insights that 3 years of knowledge in university will give you.
No.
Yeah, but honestly, from my example, I think I could have done it with a course a bit better. I think the best scenario for me was, yeah, the internship, because over there I think I learned 90% of the ongoings in IT company or on an IT project, actually, because we were structured from, yeah, you know nothing, let's start from scratch and we'll grow you into something,
I
and
see.
you will work in a team. So yeah, again, working in a team, which is kind of important.
All right. So, in do you see any other benefits for university, or maybe for somebody, if for yourself a course would have been better? Do you see any other, if there's somebody that learns differently, or who, I guess, would you maybe recommend university over a course, if there is anybody that would benefit from a full 3 year
Yeah.
university?
Well, I would say if you're younger, go to the university.
All right.
But let's say you're in your 50s and you want to start IT, I don't think you have the patience to wait another 3 years before getting into what's actually IT.
I see. Fair enough.
I would say it's all about timing in life.
Hmm. No, absolutely.
But when going to an interview and going to a job, is it, I mean, you, is it usually something that people ask? Like, does it matter if you've done university at all, if you have a degree in programming?
Yes, it matters a lot if you have a degree in programming. If yeah, if you have a degree from university is good. If you have a, let's say, certification uh, from a specialized company, it's better. And from my experience, while being interviewed or interviewing, if you have your own projects and you can show something that you worked on your own, that's the best. I would put emphasis on the last part,
Yeah.
because in the end, the degree is, from my point of view, it's a piece of paper that shows that you put in the work and the effort. But if I see a project which you started from scratch, or you work with someone, or I don't know, and you contributed, then I would say, yeah, you're more prepared on working in a team.
No,
Right.
that's fair
You
enough.
mentioned doing interviews, and we're just going to switch it up a bit and also look perhaps at the soft skills of this job. So, my main question, and there will be a few more after, my main question is, what do you look for in an interview? What's your go to? What do you dive deeper into usually? And what do you expect someone that comes to an interview at your company to know or to be like?
Here, I think it depends on the company and on the person that takes the interview a lot.
In
Because,
your case.
yeah, in my case, I would look for passionate people. If you're passionate about something, especially IT, then you will have a plus one from my side. If you're passionate, you tend to put in the effort necessary. I'm not saying overtime or something like that, but you will be interested in IT and you want to constantly improve yourself and be a better version. And that's what I'm trying to do myself. So I want to be surrounded by people which would complement me, not the other way around.
I see.
And I think this is the ideal candidate for everyone in the end.
All right. And in terms of soft skills, uh, what else do you think it's important for a person to have joining your company or coming to your interview? Is it important, for example, for a person to uh, be always honest or be outgoing or have a way with words? Or is there anything that you look for during an interview, or quite the opposite? Are there any red flags where you say, oh, no, so this person wasn't, uh, I don't know,
Yeah,
communicative
yeah,
enough, or I could tell he wasn't being honest or she wasn't being honest?
yeah. I would say that, being honest, I think this is valuable in life, not only in an interview or when working in a company, because especially when working in a company or in an interview, nobody will do anything to you if you if you're being honest. um, Not sure what I'm looking at. I try to take a look at the way he communicates stuff. So if he tends to be a bit more technical, I kind of like that, because I don't want to hear all the what happened 10 years ago. I I want to know what happens right now, or what happened right now. Let's say we have an issue. How would you describe it to me? If you take more than an hour to describe me the issue and I could solve it in, let's say, 5 minutes, or you could tell it in 5 minutes, then yeah, I would say just be objective and straight to the point, and try to communicate your ideas, because I don't know them and I want to hear them. Red flags, I think I'm looking for the most, uh, because I'm looking at people with the right attitude. So if you're a professional and again you want to learn, I think you have no problems. But I don't know, if you start swearing during the middle of the interview, that's a red flag for me, and I try to avoid that. Or if you have a sneaky way with words. So again, being a bit dishonest over here. I I think people in interviews already know when you struggle, for example. So there's no need to lie. You can just say, "I'm not familiar that much with this topic. I need to improve that part of me or that knowledge." Sorry. Yeah. So and yeah, because we will figure out in the end your actual technical skills or your soft skills or everything about you from that half an hour, 1 hour, or 2 hours. I don't know how long the interview may take.
No, that's fair enough. Do you mind if I ask, Florin? Do you mainly kind of work within a agile environment, or do you work in waterfall, or have you seen waterfall implemented in the recent past in any type of software environment?
I've heard about waterfall, but that's it. Mainly agile environment, yeah, Scrum and Kanban.
Oh, fair enough. And out of these kind of, and from a developer's point of view, what are the pros and the cons? If you know, we've heard from Scrum Masters, and I think it's because of the nature of their role, they kind of are hurried to kind of praise Scrum. But seeing it from a developer's point of view, from the person actually doing the programming, uh, do you see any cons and any negative sides to Scrum or Kanban?
Yeah, actually, I prefer Kanban.
Oh, fair enough. Why is
Yeah,
that?
because over there it's a bit more feature oriented. So you have a board with all of the tasks, let's say, and you say, okay, I'm going to take this task and I'm going to finish it, and then take another one. You don't really have that time constraint from the Scrum sprints, let's say. Not saying that that is bad, but sometimes the rules of Agile Scrum are a bit yeah, you need to deviate from them. Don't,
Yeah.
you can't actually respect them. For example, you have a feature and a sprint is for 2 weeks, let's say. You try to break that feature, but you know that, okay, this will be delivered only in, let's say, 1 month. So double the time. Okay, what do you do then? In Kanban, you don't have that problem because you can have it over there. In Scrum, you need to prepare the board again and move it. And I've seen features move, I think, 3 months the most. And
Oh, right.
yeah, I don't like seeing that. It was yeah, it was necessary because it was a big feature, but then again, you see stuff like that from Scrum. Sometimes there are a lot of meetings from my side. Yeah, and I'm not talking about the daily because I think it's necessary and to have a proper daily where you actually get information and don't discuss only about who won the Champions League this year, let's say.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about some other side meetings which happen at some point. For example, even the retrospective, sometimes I don't agree with it because it's a scheduled meeting, and if I have a problem or something to solve with someone or something related with the code, or I want the team's involvement, I would rather have it now where we can discuss it and we have everything fresh in our minds, not in, let's say, 1 week when the retrospective is, and we will probably forget everything and at the end be like, ah, okay, nothing happened, everything is good. And 2 or 3 weeks after that, you face the same problem and the memories come back and you're a bit frustrated.
Uh, fair enough. So is it mainly the kind of, is it Scrum implemented badly in your opinion, or is it Scrum as kind of as the structure itself that might have a few issues with it?
Honestly, this is a tough question because I'm not sure how Scrum implemented correctly is.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, from my experience, yeah, I'm mainly working in outsourcing. And at the beginning, I started when I worked as a developer. We had a Scrum Master, team lead, product owner, business analyst, and some other names all in one. So that was only one person job. And at some point, I did the same thing where I hold the meetings, try to get information, try to pass information, being a developer, being a tech lead, uh, business analyst, and all of that.
All of yeah, everything all in one, which is not necessarily the.
Yeah,
Well,
and yeah, the latest interaction with Scrum, I think it's a bit closer to how it should be implemented and how it should be, but we're still not there. And I think the Scrum Master's opinion or input would be helpful in some meetings, but haven't seen him in a while.
fair enough. All right. I mean, to put it this way, Andre, do you have anything to say to defend the honor of Scrum against Kanban, or is it?
I'm not defending it against Kanban per se. I'm defending it against bad Scrum, which
No.
I see a lot of anti-patterns happening in Florin's situation. Just to set the record straight, and one of the main things about Scrum is you don't release a feature per sprint. The idea is to release value as often as possible. The sprint length is to focus on a goal, but then again, that goal doesn't mean that you will release that feature. Uh, there's a lot to unfold there, and I don't really want to turn this into a debate. However, I do agree with the fact that I've seen Scrum being badly implemented in outsourcing companies, and it's just a symptom of the fact that it's quite hard to sell Scrum Masters to a client. And we already brushed over this, or we actually discussed this in a previous episode. But just to reiterate, the idea is you cannot make a lot of changes as a Scrum Master if you're just part of a small team. However, one of the things which I would strongly defend, and I honestly think, and I understand why it's also done poorly, is the retrospective, which I do agree with Florin. It makes no sense if what we do is we just discuss every 2 weeks and we discuss about problems that happen, or we discuss about our feelings. But the retrospective should happen more often. The Scrum Master should be on point. So whenever there's, let's say, a disruption or a dysfunction within the team, we shouldn't wait until it's the end of the sprint and until we have retrospective to fix that. That happens all the
Progressive.
time, and that should be tackled depending on the level of the dysfunction, but that should have happened already. And if we want to, another point which we touched with Pip in a previous episode, is that normally you prepare the retrospective right after the sprint finishes. Right after you've done the last retrospective, you prepare the next one, and you make sure that's also populated. But yeah, there's a lot to unfold, and
Yeah,
I don't
but
want to turn this into a debate.
it does make it. It does bring out the point that it's from a developer's point of view, kind of seeing Florin's point. Badly implemented Scrum can put you off of it. So it absolutely then I don't know. It begs the question: is it worth the risk of trying to implement Scrum if there's a high chance of it being implemented badly versus just taking something a bit more simple like Kanban, which an experienced developer would kind of just prefer, being focused on a single feature, taking it from start to finish? So it's interesting to kind of see different perspectives on it. So I absolutely see Florin's point. I've seen Scrum implemented very badly. I almost like paradoxically, I've seen Scrum being implemented rigidly, which is kind of is supposed to be agile. So it kind of being so rigid with the meetings and with the structure of it is counterproductive. So there you go. But Florian, do you mind if I ask?
Yeah,
Does your company or where you work for, is it basically Scrum? Is it safe? Also, kind of a very iffy way of implementing Agile. It works sometimes, or how much of Kanban, how much of Scrum, how much of safe, how much of Agile do you kind of
yeah.
implement?
So on the current project, it's safe,
Right.
and the company is structured in a way. Honestly, don't know if this is actually safe or not, but the company is structured in a way to work like Spotify's, like the way
The Spotify
Spotify,
model.
yeah, the Spotify model with trains and everything. Not sure if it's called trains or in the
You
Spotify
release
model, but
trains.
something
Yeah.
similar.
Usually, I've heard that Spotify is one of the best ways of implementing Agile. It's not exactly safe, but that's kind of almost besides the point, and it kind of brings it into context the fact that if a developer or experienced developer is not sure what system is being implemented, it kind of goes to show of how poorly a company can implement that framework. But okay, so you say that you prefer Kanban? Is it purely for the simplicity of it, or are there any other elements that you why you'd prefer that?
I would say because I'm a responsible person and I like to take account into what I say and what I do, and it's a bit easier to organize myself. And I think this is something, yeah, depends on what type of person are you. And I think it's a lot easier to organize a Kanban board than a Scrum board. Let's say I've worked, I think the best structured company I've worked in with actually had a combination between Scrum and Kanban. So the board was a bit towards Kanban, but we had the Scrum ceremonies and the sprints. It wasn't like, okay, you need to finish this now. You can finish it. You just start on it. We have the estimates. We have everything ready. And but it wasn't that quote Scrum pressure. Let's say that you need to finish in a sprint and you need to have that sprint goal. No, we try to deliver features and not sprints.
No, that makes sense. All right, and also kind of to combine everything that we've kind of talked about up until now, do you think it's important for somebody that wants to become a developer to learn some basics in Agile, in Kanban, in Scrum, any of these? If somebody would show up in with little to no experience in a job, but maybe a few projects on their GitHub basically page and a bit of knowledge of what Kanban and Agile is, would that be a plus, or would that be enough to make them stand apart from the rest of the candidates?
I think it will be a plus. I mean, definitely, it will be a plus to have a bit of knowledge about how IT companies tend to work. But I don't see it as a deal breaker. Like, I
Okay.
don't know, I have, let's say, two CVs in front of me. One of them did a course on Pluralsight, the other one on Udemy, and has GitHub projects, and the first one has a bit of knowledge about Agile. I will go towards the guy that has the GitHub projects, not towards the guy that has the Agile knowledge, because the agile knowledge, I think you will learn it, actually learn it when you start working on a project like
Yeah,
that,
makes
not
sense.
on your free time.
No, that's fair enough.
All right. Let's turn this around. And for example, I also mentioned at some point, as a Scrum Master, when you go to a company, there are a few red flags. In my case, if they ask for project manager certifications, if they ask for all sorts of other certifications which have nothing to do with the Scrum Master. However, as a developer, and for any of our listeners who are now applying to different companies, what do you usually stay away for? What do you see as red flags, or even during the interview, what would you consider a positive or a complete no, go away from this company or something like that?
So let's say you came to an interview, and let's say I was holding it. Yeah, I would assume you're nervous because I don't know a guy or someone who isn't nervous during an interview. Yeah, you may stutter. It's perfectly normal. I would start asking easier questions and try to look over your responses. I would try to see about your experience because you need to have a bit of experience, even if you read 2 pages of, I don't know, let's say Agile Scrum, because we discussed about it. I want to see your experience, your feelings towards it. I want to see that you want to learn and that you want to improve, not the other way around. Um,
So this is for your company if you're interviewing, but what if you go to interviews, for example? So what do you look for in a company? What would you
oh,
say no to?
well, trying to look over the questions they ask, if they're good questions, because they can be bad questions. Normally, during an interview, you want to find out on what project you will work on if they're looking for someone for a specific project, or you want to learn about the company's culture, because everyone will try to say that everything is nice and cool and will try to sell it. You need to look over the stuff that they want to hide. Let's say I have I don't like working in a, let's say in a, I don't know, toxic environment where people start shouting. Maybe I'll ask about the company culture and want to see, okay, how are the teams? How's it going? Did someone leave? Why did he leave? Because there's an open position most of the times. Try to ask the correct technical question from my perspective, because if yeah, we are discussing about Agile and Scrum, but if it's a waterfall environment, haven't worked with that one, but from what I've heard, I don't actually want to work on it.
So you mentioned bad questions.
Yeah,
Can you give us some examples of what is a good question or what is a bad question?
I think the best question that everyone asks is what is a thing you've struggled with in your professional career, and how did you solve it? What did you do? Did you ask for help? Did you solve it on your own? What was the issue? And in here, I want to hear, or I want to speak a lot if it's if I'm being asked that question, and let him speak, let him tell you and say everything you need to say. So in here you can say the story. So it all started on a rainy day in September, and it went like this. I think this is the best question where you can sell yourself as a candidate, as an interviewed person, and the one that the interviewer sees you at your best, probably. Yeah, bad questions. I don't know, maybe asking about outdated technologies. For example, in my CV, I still have Angular JS. I, I think it's end of life. Not sure about that. But if they ask you a question specifically to that framework, I may say, okay, no, I don't want to continue because I keep looking for new stuff and ways to improve.
Yeah, that's a good one. I keep seeing the joke everywhere online where uh, they wanted someone for a specific technology that has 4 years experience, and the person saying that he only has 1.5 years
Yeah,
experience on it since he invented it. So yeah,
yeah.
I guess that's also a red flag. I'm not sure how much that is true or just a joke online.
Actually, I think I got it at some point. I was asked if I have experience with React, and I said I have, I think, I don't know, like 3 or 6 months. Okay, we're looking for someone for 4 or more years, but yeah, React appeared like 1 year before.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
just out of curiosity, do you call them out in the middle of the interview? Say, well, you're gonna have a hard time finding somebody with 4 years experience, considering it's
No, no. At that point, I was like, I need to check this out. Did I not read correctly, or what did I miss? Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, yeah, I kind of called them up more discreetly.
yeah.
Um, do you mind if I ask you kind of it's a wild card question. This is kind of more something that I'm trying to kind of upskill and do research on myself of how best to work with my the developers in my team. But just in your experience, or do you have any experience working with XP, extreme programming, or at all?
Just give me the definition, but I don't think so.
It's
No.
yeah, no, it started off at the same time as Scrum in parallel. It mainly developed on maybe focused on from a developer's point of view of how to organize in Agile, but it's almost like it's effectively from a marketing point of view, from a popularity point of view, just Scrum won. And it became the main dominant thing, and nobody really talks about XP that much. However, from what I've seen online, is Scrum and XP should be implemented together, like they're complementary. And I just wanted to see if that, from a developer's point of view, if that. But no, that's fine. If you don't have much experience with it, it kind of just shows how much Scrum won over XP over the years. No, that's
Yeah, I think that's a bigger conversation perhaps to be had if they should go together or not. But they're not mutually exclusive, so I don't want to go in the opposite way either.
yeah.
But yeah, perhaps that is a topic for a future conversation that we may want to get into.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. In that case, kind of any other tips and tricks that you might kind of know or come across that would help you either learn faster, anything outside of courses or programming. Like for instance, do you have you ever used ChatGPT at all in coding, which is kind of something that's come up a lot recently.
Personally, I didn't do it, but I have colleagues that did it, and one of them helped me with an issue I had. He said that as ChatGPT, maybe he knows. Said I don't have an account. He asked him, and he gave me a solution. Still not implemented because it's a bit of a more complex topic. But yeah, you right now, I, it was said I think in the company about GitHub Copilot. Also read about it when it was released. I think 2 years ago or I don't know how long, but yeah, we'll probably start looking over that one to help you understand a library, for example, working with code and just automatically write the code for you.
Oh, I see. No, fair enough.
I
And
actually want to ask something off the back of this. Sorry,
yeah,
Vlad.
no, go ahead.
But because I think this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in, and I know I was interested in at some point during my career. So, for anyone listening, Florin, machine learning or AI, is that something that you get into from the position of a programmer, or is that something completely different and it's a totally different skill set that you need to learn separately?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough question, this one. Yeah, you could say you get into that from a developer point of view because yeah, you're a developer. That's what you do actually. Yeah, worked a bit with that part with computer vision. Yeah, over there we used a lot of OpenCV, which are models and algorithms, all of them mathematical, that help you, I don't know, compared to pictures. To yeah, at some point you want to show a picture of an orange to the program and say, hey, yeah, this is an orange. Yeah, but a lot of that work involves in yeah, picture framing. So what we did, for example, for one of the projects, we took a dozen of pictures of different oranges because I started with that, and sorted them out so that the model would train itself based on those.
Right.
All right, so there's no real, I mean, not real. So there's not a lot of programming that was involved in that
Yeah, yeah.
setup.
Yeah, I was about to say that the actual programming work was 1 minute until, let's say, five. I've opened the browser, look for the functions which I wanted to use and pasted them because it's basically that. And the actual cropping of pictures, preparing them, getting the data set, the correct data set in was, let's say, 1 hour or 2 hours, or I don't know, depends on what you want to do. For example, one of the projects I've worked with was there are pipes that had if they had something wrong, if there was something wrong with them, they would have a weird color, and they would go through this pipeline, and there was a camera over here. Okay, so we had to calculate the camera angle, how to put like this, like this, like this, how to how often should we take the pictures, and about the quality of the pictures. And over there, try different approaches to get that color out. That, let's say, yeah, this pipe is good or is bad. And over there, because of the environment, yeah, it was really hard to find out because that color was yeah, was not so easy to see even with the human eye if you were standing in front of her, because the pipes were somehow processed and cleaned, and then after that they came under the camera.
All
No,
right. Sorry, Vlad, I interrupted you completely.
no, that's fine. But yeah, that's it. Are there any other, I guess, tools or tips and tricks that you've used or you know people that have used that found it helpful in developing programming?
Not really.
No, no,
just
fair enough.
just try to stick with the documentation you already have available and the courses you already have. Um, YouTube is a good friend sometimes. Yeah, and just go with it.
Yeah,
Sometimes just doing is better than not doing.
No, yeah, fair enough. And in terms of documentation or learning material, do you have kind of a favorite? Is YouTube your favorite over Udemy or LinkedIn Learning? Do you have
Uh,
some that you avoid?
well, at this point in my career, I don't go on Udemy Pluralsight or whatever courses. I try to go on the guy that developed the program that the developer develops in.
I
So
see.
going at Microsoft official page or post or having a subscription over that, seeing the courses they have, I think Azure Thursday, if it's called, if you're working with Azure, let's say, and you have over there videos where they try to explain everything pretty simple and pretty clear. At the beginning, I was using a lot Pluralsight, I think, yeah, Pluralsight and YouTube. I was mainly using, I think, YouTube because it was easier for me to handle. I'm used to it, and you can find a lot of cool stuff over there too.
Like our podcast, for example.
Subscribe to Ways of Agile.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. Is there anything else, Andre, that you might want to ask? I think we can.
Uh, Not really. I just wanna, yeah, for our viewers and listeners, I just wanted to ask something. I want everyone to know. Have you ever copy pasted code from Stack Overflow
Oh yeah,
and used it in your code?
this is a question for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Stack Overflow, Microsoft, you name it. At some point, I was struggling so much finding an answer for our problem because the documentation was lacking at the time. It was a very weird issue. Nothing was present on GitHub. I don't know. I think I've reached the 10th page of Google.
Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, of course you'll copy paste and you'll copy paste your code from yesterday at some point. You just need to adapt it, so it's totally
Pretty
fine.
much.
As
All
long as you
right.
get the results, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Uh, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and I hope this information is useful for our listeners. So, on this note, uh, I'll say thank you, and
Yeah, we'll
that
call
was a
it a
lovely
day.
session.
thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Florin.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.